This is the new Weight Watchers. It works for members like Jojo, who's learning simple, healthy habits, Sharia, who's making progress with meds, and Kim, who still gets to eat what she loves. For over 60 years, we've helped millions of members find what works for them. Now, it's your turn. Watch your life open up. Watch your story shift. Watch what you're capable of. Watch it work. Get started today at WeightWatchers.com.
Today, we are going to be talking about carb loading, and we are now day 6 in the countdown to Dopey. I'm Jill Bartholomew, and I am the head coach at Be Fierce Multisport and also 7-time Dopey finisher. There's all sorts of information out there. Most of it, from what I can tell, is rumor and hearsay, so I did want to bring in some of the actual science and research that has been done on the topic, and yes, there is science and research to back it up. And the good news is that if you find those journals, they all kind of support each other. Okay, so first, I want to say this out loud. Carb loading is not about overeating. It's not about forcing food into your body beyond its capacity. It is about supporting the energy systems that you're going to be using on race day, and you're supporting those energy systems by introducing some additional glycogen that your body can store if it has the ability to store that glycogen. So this, in combination with race day fueling, is what's going to get you through the race. Okay, so what is carb loading? Carb loading is not, and let's start there. Carb loading is not stuffing your face because it's race week. We've all experienced that, where we're like, hey, it's race week and it's open invitation to eat whatever you want, but it doesn't really work that way. The reality is the only thing that really matters for race day is what you do in the 48 hours from a nutritional standpoint, the 48 hours before your first start line. So really focus on that second day before the first race, which in our case is going to be on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're probably not going to eat quite as heavy as we did on Tuesday. The complicated thing with Dopey, of course, is that it's 4 races on 4 days. So if you're looking at the marathon, we should be carb loading on Friday. But if you carb load on Friday, you're probably going to be feeling quite a bit full at the start line, which you want to avoid. So use your judgment on what you think makes sense. I'm here to give you a few facts and some tips along the way to help you with that. All right, don't start eating unfamiliar foods that you're not used to. Now, of course, most of us, not everybody, most of us are not residents of the Orlando area, and therefore we are probably staying at a hotel and probably eating food that we didn't make ourselves. So by definition, that food is not familiar to us unless you are a frequent traveler to Disney. Okay, so do your best. If you're used to eating certain types of food, then try to continue to eat those same types of food. Don't do anything exotic. Now is not the time to be like, oh, hey, let's go out to that fancy Asian restaurant when we never eat Asian, for example. All right. And this one's easy, mostly because most hotel rooms do not have scales. But if it does, maybe don't look at it this week. It's not going to change too much. And day to day, it's normal for your weight to change by 6 to 12 pounds. All right. What is carb loading? Carb loading is gradually topping off your glycogen stores by introducing additional carbohydrates into your body beyond what you normally would bring in. Okay. It is supporting the training that you've already done and preparing your body to survive the multiple days of racing you're going to do. It's obviously not building fitness, and it is probably not building digestive health, but fueling is ultimately what's going to make the fitness that you already have more available to you for longer. So with that, let's talk directly about what the Journal of Sports Sciences has to say about this. They say that the main benefit of carb loading is, and I quote here, increasing muscle glycogen stores, which helps delay fatigue and support sustained performance in long endurance events. Continuing, they say muscle glycogen is your primary fuel source at marathon and submarathon intensities. When glycogen stores are higher at the start line, athletes are able to maintain pace longer and reduce the risk of hitting the wall late in the race. And this is really important. Carb loading doesn't make you fitter. but it allows you to access the fitness you already have for longer than you would be able to if you didn't increase the glycogen source. And of course, the glycogen that you have doesn't last forever, so you supplement throughout the race. All right, most research also points to increasing carbohydrate intake to roughly 8 to 12 grams per kilogram of body weight per day in the 1 to 3 days leading into a long endurance event. More recently, I've seen across the multiple courses that I have taken over the last few years, that 48 to 24 hour mark is like the magic window. For recreational athletes, that usually works out to 30 to 50% more carbohydrates than normal, spread across regular meals and not force feeding. So that's throughout the day. But it's 8 to 12 grams per day, 8 to 12 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. So if you think about that, like if you have a high carbohydrate diet to start with, then you probably don't have any change to make. If you have a very low carbohydrate diet normally, then this would be a much more dramatic change. Scale changes are super normal. There's a lot of reasons for that, especially during this period. You're going to be eating more carbohydrates, which also have a tendency of absorbing and retaining water. So your body may feel more bloated than it normally does, and that's super normal. It will go away. Adding more hydration can help, but again, you don't want to go overboard with that. I have seen some very bad advice on the Facebook forums recently advising that athletes for Dopey should be doubling or tripling their water intake. And please don't do that. It can lead to a condition called hyponatremia, which is very, very bad for you. Hyponatremia is when you've actually taken in so much water that it dilutes the electrolytes in your body, and your body can no longer function the way it's supposed to. So it is actually the opposite of dehydration. All right, so that's what the research says. What should we do about it? First, you heard earlier, it should be gradual. I'm going to tell you it should be familiar and should be boring. Don't go exotic. Keep the foods, things that you normally eat. My family, there's a lot of athletes in my family. Myself, my husband, all of our children. And kind of the way we approach it is like pizza. It's easy to get on property, and the value resorts actually have pretty decent pizza. There's lots of options for delivery now with Uber and whatnot. So that's one option. If you're in a DVC room or a suite that has a kitchenette, you can, of course, make your own pasta. Some of the resorts the last couple of years have started to offer runner's meals, which do have, I think it's a pasta and meatball and a breadstick normally. Just make sure on the portion size. I've seen some of those come back with really quite small portions, which might be not enough compared to what you would otherwise eat. Yeah, one resort we were at, they were only giving out one cup wet, which is, of course, not a lot of, that's less than one normal serving of pasta. Okay, as you go through this, eat your regular meals. Don't skip meals. Don't add meals. As you're walking through the parks, enjoy the parks, but try not to go overboard on the sweets and the extra foods. It's not currently a festival in Epcot, but that doesn't mean that there's not plenty of food options to snack around the world anyways. Keep the proteins and fats in the diet. Don't go and say, I'm just going to eat this loaf of bread for this meal. It's probably not the best option. You should still have protein in your diet and healthy fats along with, vegetables and fruits and all that good stuff. We all grew up with the food pyramid. It still kind of applies. If something doesn't sit well with you, don't continue eating it. If you don't feel good, if you're, find yourself over bloated, back it off. While there is science behind it, that doesn't mean that if you don't do it exactly right, that you're going to have a terrible race, because you're not. All right, so some things to avoid. Panic eating, we talked about that. Drastic changes, now is not the time to start adding new foods, new supplements. I mean, I've yet to hear about a supplement that advertises itself as carb loading, but now might not be the right time to try something new. in the supplement department this week, ignore the scale. Like that's really the best thing you can do is just don't look at it. And don't compare what you're doing to what someone else is doing. I told you what we do that works for us. It's not the healthiest approach, but it's an approach that has consistently worked for us for a number of reasons. One of which is because it's super predictable and we understand how our body is going to react to those foods and how long it takes for it to pass, which is really nice information when you're lining up and don't want to use the toilet halfway through your marathon. Okay, so starting to wrap up our episode today. Carb loading is not a test you pass or fail. It's a process. It is just something you're going to do throughout the day. And again, it's really for us going to be on like that Tuesday and Wednesday. You should not be carb loading at the time this episode gets published, which will be the Friday before the race. There's really no value in doing it now other than making your weight a little bit heavier because you're not going to be using those energy stores that you're building. And what happens to energy stores that you've built that go unused? They turn to fat. So that's probably not what most of us want. So again, another reason not to go overboard. There are many ways to carb load. I do know some pro athletes who actually just walk around all day with a package of gummy bears in their hand. Maybe not the healthiest, but it works for them. And they know how much is in it and they can add that into their regular meal and otherwise just eat completely the way they always do. And that is an option. If that works for you, that's great. It might not work for someone else. So don't compare what you're doing to what someone else is doing. There's really no right or wrong other than like, just don't go overboard. Okay. Lastly, you don't need to micromanage your fueling, right? You've done the work. You're going to be fine. Now you're just adding a little bit extra carbs in to start building those energy stores, which on race day, you're going to support with gels or whatever nutrition you're using throughout the race. You're really just supporting your body's natural processes, which will be super important come race day. Now, tomorrow, we are truly focusing on race day execution. We're going to start talking about the 5K and the 10K. And then the day after, we'll talk about the half marathon and the marathon. Thank you for continuing to join the countdown to Dopey. Today is day 6. Tomorrow is day 5. Can you believe that? All right. Be fierce, be you, and I'll see you tomorrow.